We're live.
Totally.
Oh, a little low on the notes, but should we redo it again or like?
This is a one-time thing. Whatever happens, happens.
What's up, everybody? This is Mark Monroe and
Christopher Bush.
And
Ashelyn GC in the place to be.
And this is the Come Up series on Trade Talk Tuesday. This is the break, of course, that never was, because if you noticed last week, we had, we kind of had a finals week. And normally after you go through a finals, you go through like a break at the end of the semester or the quarter. But, we didn't really feel like doing that. Like, there's no stop. So today we get to have some fun. And so today I think we're going to talk, well, I'm not going to get into that in a second, but yeah, it's going to be there because Chris is going to do some pretty special and phenomenal things like he normally does. But then, of course, we're going to also have some friends that may stop by. You never know. So Jolene, how are you? What's going on with you over there in your side of the world? Because, you in the concrete jungle down there.
Yeah, I'm good. Who was the first person to join me?
Oh, wait. Take a wild guess.
I don't know.
Are you looking?
Oh, mine is delayed. So
okay. So Deontay, you are the first one that actually came in the chat. So what's good?
Hey, Deontay.
All right. So before we get some housekeeping out of the way, we want to just say, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, because we would appreciate it if you just join the family. When we have these cookouts and everything else and just dinner discussion, we like having you aboard. And then on top of that, if you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you definitely want to be in the know for when either somebody's video is coming, then go ahead and hit that notification bell to be a part of the Cool Kids Club. So I will pass it on over to the wonderful Jolene GC in the place to be, and let's get it.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Trade Talk Tuesday. It's just Jolene GC in the place to be, and I'm excited to talk to you about what happened today in this market. So this is nice. It was green all around, so that's a good day. We got the Dow coming in at 116.26 points. S&P 500 was 30.66 points. The NASDAQ was 198.68 points. So I'm assuming you all had some gains today. When we get down to the sector performance, we got, out of the 11 sectors, we have energy, communication services, and technology at the top three. It's nice to see technology in the top again. And then for our bottom feeders, we have utilities, consumer staples, and real estate. Now, big performance. I saw these comments in the YouTube comments, and I feel like I say this every time, but someone asked, where did those picks come from? Well, that's an excellent question. You can find the picks at on our IG page at That Come Up series. There, you got to scroll through some posts, and you will find our 31 sips. Out of the 31 tips, we like to track the top three and the bottom three. So the top three today is we have TAN, which is the solar ETF, Roku, which had a 52-week high, and Lam Research, which also had a 52-week high. And then our bottom feeders are Datadog, Best Buy, and VFC. So we also had some other 52-week highs. We have K-Web, we got Hack, we got Qualcomm, Zscaler, Netflix, finally. And
don't say that. No,
I do gotta say finally, because they were taking forever.
Feeling it today.
I'm glad that they decided to kill it today, as well as the aftermarket. And then last but not least, the forever stock bay, SMH, printing money for those of y'all that got it. So yeah, that's it for market overview.
Can we just have like a small golf hand clap for the people over there at Netflix? Oh, we get the Ashe snaps.
Okay, finally y'all are coming to play.
Hey, don't sleep on Netflix though, because you know what they said about having some type of content drop every week. Oof.
Well, I can't be mad at them because they are working on season 2 of Bridgerton, and I'm here for it. So.
All right. Well, we'll probably have to do like a review of like that show, because I'm hearing that everybody is talking about it. And it's like the hottest thing, I guess, on Netflix. But it is.
Yes, it is.
It's nice.
Oh, all right. Well,
nice.
I mean.
Oh, Chris, you saw it too?
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Really? So okay. To Erica, okay, I'll watch it. All right, so today, are we ready? Are we ready for today? Like, we got some.
Let's do it.
We got some stuff to talk about. So,
Chris, to say hi to you. Hello, Chris. Welcome to Seattle.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Welcome. I'm glad to be back. I was driving in the Uber. The guy said, "Is this your first time?" I know it's my second, but it's still cold as the first time. So, woke up in LA at 80 degrees, and then now here in Seattle with like 30 something degrees. So should have packed better, but we're good. Right, we're here.
Well, we got some sweaters if you need them. We pack a lot of sweaters here in the Northwest for the winter. All right, so it's a new year, 2021, and many of you are probably new, and some of you have been around here for a minute. And so we talked about this thing called 70-30, like the 70-30 rule in the rolling forest plan. And a lot of times, like, I really felt bad because we kind of like brushed over it. Like, I did the very best that I could of doing a breakdown of your money. But I mean, who better else than, I'm not a financial advisor, and neither is Jolene. So why not have a person in which that advises people with money, Mr. Christopher Bush, and talk about like, okay, if this is a goal in which I'm looking to achieve, then how is it that I do it? And I know that some folks hate the word budget. So in the interest of that, we're actually going to say, how is it that we set up a solid money plan?
Come on.
All right. So,
so much better though. Like, seriously, budget, money plan, budget, money plan.
It's growing on me. It's growing on me. Like, I'm starting to notice myself even saying like less the B word, but more so going with money plan. So shout outs to you, Jolene. You're rubbing off on a kid.
Jolene, I'm with you, Jolene. Like, I hate budget. I hate the word budget. To me, budget just means constraints. It thinks about, look, if I spent all these things last month, last year that I shouldn't have spent, but I know I should, you know what I'm saying? It all makes it bad. It's not something that brings life into you, right? But if you have a money plan, hey, look, every single dollar, every single penny that I have has some proper place to go, then you're always going to succeed there, right? So that's what I get excited about. So Jolene, so I'm on your team on that. Right? Money plan it is.
Well, it's like First Bridgerton now, money plan. So I guess, I may as well just like, start drinking more of the Kool-Aid. So
Exactly.
Switch out that water bottle.
I'll put some like color, some food coloring. All right. So how do we get started? Like, for example, if I'm making, let's bring it a little bit down to like, just a little bit of like, let's set the bar lower. So let's say if I'm making $50,000 a year annually. Okay, so how is it that I go about that? Like, how is it that I go about like first having a money plan? Like, where should I even start? Like mentally.
I think mentally where it starts is you got to know where you want to go, right? I think that's for me you got to start with the end in mind, right? I think that's what Brian Tracy or Zig Ziglar, right? He has a book talking start with the end in mind. So where we have to know that what money that we're coming in right now, that $50,000, we got to take care of it, right? But also understanding that if we don't know where we are today, we can never know where we're going. So we understand the end. Hey, look, I want to be financially free. I want to walk away. I want to be in a position to where I never have to worry about money, be stressed. So what we can do is saying, hey, look, number one, where are you at today? So to me, it doesn't have to be so technical. I know a lot of the people in the come up, like everybody has this fancy spreadsheets, right? I've been meeting with everybody, and just to give a disclaimer. So I probably had Mark over, I want to say this public. I probably had over 175 meetings of people with the come up since December 16th.
Wow.
So just so you guys know, if you guys have met with me, don't think I have not forgot about you. I'm literally trying to go through everybody's plan. So most of the time it takes a little bit longer than I expected, but I am going back. So if you guys look at my calendar on Instagram, it's kind of blocked out because I'm literally booked all the way until like the end of March. Wow. So what I'm going to be doing is reorganizing my schedule to make sure that I can get into more groups and spend the one-on-one time that you guys need, because I don't want to just have another blanket meeting. Like, you guys need actually the direction of what me and Mark are talking about right now. Like, the foundation of a money plan takes time. So please just give me a little grace, like these next week or so. I promise I'm gonna get back to everybody, 401ks, business owners, everything. I promise you it's in works, okay? But going back to this money plan. So we have to, don't always try to do the fancy spreadsheet number one. Mm-hmm. What I recommend for people is just put it on paper. right? Go get a napkin and say, okay, look, what is every single bill? What is every single expense that I have? And you got to write it down on paper,
Okay.
right? This is the beginning of the year. One of the best things that I do at the beginning of each and every year, I'll print out every single bank statement, every single credit card statement, everything that has a statement for my money.
Okay.
And I'm going to go through it line by line and find out, okay, do I really need this? Do I not? Do I really need this? Do I not? What is this charge for? Right?
So how do they determine whether or not they need it or not? Like, so I think that's a pretty legit question, because it's like, okay, do I really need this or do I not? Like, what would you say would be that one question that a person should ask themselves when saying, do I need this or not? Like, what would be that one question to help them define it?
The number one question is this getting me closer to freedom? Right? And that's right. Every single bill that I'm looking that I'm looking at, is it getting me closer to freedom? If it's not getting me closer to freedom, then okay, then it doesn't make too much sense.
Okay.
Right now, every bill can be justified. Yes, Jolene?
Yeah, okay. So that's cool, right? However, what about those expenses that are attached to a value?
Okay, explain. Go a little bit deeper for me.
For instance, there is no way that I'm going to compromise on my money plan for my hair.
Okay.
Because creative expression is a value to me.
Exactly.
So I'm willing to cut down on something else, but not hair care, not skin care. There's certain things that, just is non-negotiable.
Okay, so maybe we need to redefine freedom then. Right? Because what you just defined right there, that's a non-negotiable. But so you taking care of yourself, taking care of your hair, look, that is free. That's a part of your freedom. That's a part of who you are. So see, me saying that is it getting you closer to freedom? That doesn't necessarily have to mean monetarily, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like one thing that I love, I love to do, I love to play golf. Right, I want to play golf more, so I just got with the Golf Pro to get me a new set of clubs. Now, technically, financially, that doesn't bring me closer to freedom. However, see, when I'm on a golf course and I'm playing, it frees my mind, though. So now that I'm relaxed, I have more my Zen moments. I have situations to where, okay, the more and more that I spend time working 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day, yes, I'm killing it, but I'm also killing myself. So see, that's an expense that can also breathe life back into me to get my mind to where I need to go so I can move forward, right? So for some people, it may be video games. So for some people, it may be TV. Some people, it may be Netflix, right? Right.
For the folks out there with Bridgerton, I mean, by all means.
Yeah, right. So those are, and again, those are, so that's where it's a fine line, right? So, but we do have to have something to say, hey, look, is this an expense that's going to really keep me from getting to my goals, or is this an expense that's really going to help me feel better about what I'm doing? Give me that relaxation. Give me that peace to say, look, I can re-energize myself so I can go work on my goals and dreams. Right? I think that it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Right. But when I look at most people's budget, let's think about this. Number one, auto insurance. Okay, so you should never be loyal to an auto insurance company, right? Every single 6 months, auto insurance companies change their rates. Number one, based on their zip code. Number two, right? Their book of business, right? They're always going to accept some level of risk inside their book of business with auto insurance. So one thing is, people say, well, Chris, I just don't have money. Well, just last week, I called my auto insurance company at the beginning of the year, like I always do. I saved over $100 and something a month. Right. But see, in the last 4 years, I probably had over 4 or 5 auto insurance companies. Yep. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So those are type of, when I'm saying, look, we got to write down our expenses. See, there's always a way for us to reallocate that.
Yep.
Right. And I think insurance is one of the ways that you can always save money on. I'm looking at from the come up, Mark.
Okay.
When we're talking about expenses, we saw about auto and home insurance, right? Renter's insurance. Just because a company says they could give you a bundle deal and you have a loyalty discount with them, guys, most auto insurance companies, renter's insurance company, all have a loyalty discount. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you move to one, they want to make sure that you don't have a lapse in coverage over the last 5 years or since you've been 16. So all of them do the same. So don't get so caught up. The second thing may be we're looking at when it comes to life insurance. So I would say for me, having 100 and something appointments from the come up, the number one way that I've saved most people money is from their life insurance, Mark.
How is that?
So this is a whole other conversation, right?
Oh, okay.
Whole other video.
Okay.
But think about this. Sometimes there was a couple clients that maybe had a life insurance policy. They had a whole life insurance policy, and I'm not going to go into the different types of which one it should have, term versus whole life versus IUL versus Bank of You. Well, that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. We're gonna break it down. But so there was one client that was paying over $100 a month for $13,000 worth of life insurance coverage for a whole life insurance. Now that's a complete ripoff, right? So what happens is now she had money in the cash value. So what I was able to do is give her more coverage for less money, right? She had, I think, around $3,000 or $4,000 in cash value, right? So we took that money from the insurance company when we replaced it, right? And then now she has money to buy what? Right? Go invest. Now she has money to put back into her pocket. But see, a lot of times with our expenses, it's not that we don't have the money, it's just that the money is going to the wrong place. So that's what I'm saying. We have to go back to the statements, and we got to line out every statement, right? Let's look at every single, our cell phone bill, right? T-Mobile, AT&T, whatever, they always have different deals, right? So you need to reallocate your plan. So how often are you really assessing those things? Same thing with maybe like home security. Some people may have ADT for the last 15 years. Okay, you need to switch that. Right, probably right. ADT may have Vivint may be a little bit better. Ring may be a little bit better, right? There's other companies. So guys, we really got to focus on not just the expense, but is there an alternative? And that's one thing that I haven't really dig deep on a lot of my consultations, Mark. But that's something that's huge.
Well, interesting thing is that, you know, for those of us that are like, you know, in business, you know, when you look at successful businesses, right? Most businesses, when they've reached a certain point, they find ways to ultimately, like, if you're selling a product or if you're selling a service, you're going to find ways to ultimately cut back on specific expenses or make it so that way, essentially, that you become more efficient in your margins, so that way you increase profit.
Absolutely.
And so if you think about the same way in, say, for example, your own personal finances, or within your money plan, think of yourself, like you said, and I think in one of your episodes, you said, think about like yourself as a business, and then find ways in which that you can ultimately figure out ways in which that you could become more efficient or ultimately cut back on, so that way it doesn't take away from your profit.
Absolutely. And then going back to what, you know, we do research, you kill it doing research every single week. Right. On how do we look at successful companies, what companies are going to pop. So we got to make sure that every single one of the cousins, that their personal company, right, that is going to be the next winner, that our personal company is going to be the next SMH, that you yourself is going to be the next Tesla. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So every single quarter, we should be saying, hey, look, this is my profit and loss. This is my balance sheet. And if you were to give it to Mark or I or Jolene, we should be wanting to invest in you. Because it's not saying that you maybe went from having $100 grand to $1 million, or you may had $1,000 went to $5 grand. See, it's not about the percentage necessarily, right? Or the dollar amount. It's about the percent growth. Right? How much did you improve from quarter to quarter? Don't we look at that from businesses?
We do.
So we have to do that exact same thing for us. But I think that's one thing that we miss when we're looking at personal finance. We don't treat us like a business.
What do you think, Jolene?
Sorry, I had to mute out. Again, it's crunk in downtown Seattle. Oh my God.
Wow. Y'all good down there?
The sirens have been going off. You know, I think that treating yourself, I think it really just depends on how you want to play it. I think treating yourself as a business is cool, in the sense that you are being like efficient. You're really seeing like what you're kind of take the emotion out of it. You know, it's just like, does this expense make money?
Okay.
Or does it not? You know, so I can see that. And then at the same time, I think looking at it like holistically, like some of the things that you mentioned, Chris, earlier, you know, as you're assessing your bills and assessing your expenses, like, does it fall into one of these categories? You mentioned, you know, does it bring you closer to freedom, you know, and whatever your definition of freedom is. If it doesn't, then cut it. And I really like the one that you described about like the competitive pricing. You know, for years, you know, I had one phone bill company, never really looked into it. And then the minute I told them I was leaving, all of a sudden they had deals.
Don't go.
Right. So I think it is important to look and see what you're working with. But you know what? I think the most important part that you said, Chris, really is starting down with like starting back with writing it down.
Yep, you gotta write it down.
People that, you know, they started backwards. They're like, okay, 70-30. Well, 30% of my income is this and 70% of my income is this. And then they notice that they fall short. But it's like, okay, well, first, before you even get to that, assess where you're at first.
Yep.
And I was like, what are we working with here? Because you may just need to make more money. There may be some things that you can't, increase. You got to make more money.
That's the key right there. I think, again, if me coming from Los Angeles to Seattle, the first thing, if I want to get an Uber ride, if I want to get a plane ticket, they got to know where I'm at today.
Yep.
So you have to assess that, right? But the second thing, like you were talking about, Jolene, is like when I'm looking at most of from the come up series, from the appointments that I've had, it's not necessarily the expenses that's the hindrance. It's really just the income. Right, because there's only so much that we can cut. Yeah. See, before the come up, we all had areas and that we already had a lifestyle that we were living.
Yeah.
Right. Your car notes were already probably $500 a month. You've already had student loan debt. You may already had credit cards. Right. We're going to talk about refinancing credit card debt. We can talk about make sure we're using some different creative strategies to make sure we can call the companies and make sure we eliminate that type stuff. But we've already had, if we're making $5,000 a month, sometimes our expenses are already there and we just can't get away.
Right.
So what we have to do, especially for the W-2 employees, is I really encourage you guys, you have to find a way to, number one, earn more income. The quickest way to 70-30 is not to think about how can I subtract things. The quickest way is how can I add. See, we got to have a growth mindset.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we have to be focused on growth. So we got to focus on how can I add additional. Think about this, guys. Is everybody added an additional $1,000 for my W-2 employees? If you add an additional $1,000 to $3,000 a month to your income, would you be at 70-30 quicker?
Yes, you would.
Hands down, most people would be at 70-30 if they added an extra $1,000, $3,000 to their income.
Yeah.
So see, now we got to focus on how do we do that? Right? Do we start a part-time business? Now we're in a social media era, right? There's so many different businesses that you can take your passion of what you're doing and turn into profits.
Yes.
Right. So see, that's what I think about, right? Okay, well, if I'm making $5,000 a month and I know my bills are $4,000, dang it. Okay, what can I do to say, look, how can I make an extra $1,000? How can I make an extra $1,500? How can I make an extra $3,000 a month? See, now if I'm a business owner, think about this, Mark. If you're a business owner, your best trade is you.
Yes. Yes.
Right? As a business owner, you're your best option contract.
Yes.
Because as a business owner, we can say, hey, look, we can look at our business and say, well, look, if I do X, Y, and Z, I can get an extra 1,000% rate of return from my own production, from my business efficiencies. Right? So that's why I'm a big proponent of, becoming a business owner, becoming in a way to where you can have your own LLC, to where you can have your own way to where you can have additional write-offs, right? Let's be real. The tax code is written for people that have businesses.
Yes. That's a fact.
Right? So again, there may be ways that we can kind of be more efficient with that type of income from a business owner. But again, people that are W-2, we have time.
Yeah.
Right? Let's even look at tax withholdings. Okay, so let's even get a little bit deeper. Now, you didn't think about this, right?
Wait, Chris, before you do the tax withholding, I do want to state that 70-30, y'all, is a goal.
Yeah.
Figure out where you are first and then work your way to 70-30. You may not be 70-30 out the gate. You may be 50-50 or 60-40 or whatever it is. Whatever it is, know what it is, and then set the goal for 70-30.
Yep.
So don't feel bad if you're not there yet. Because it took me a minute. Okay, I have to pay prices.
It's kind of interesting that you mentioned that, Jolene, because, like, for example, some of the folks in which that I've had the opportunity and privilege to sit down and talk with, 70-30 wasn't that far away for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, it was just more so in the sense of just, really adjusting certain habits. Like, for example, it could just be simply like, improving your diet. Improving your diet ultimately, like where it's like you're eating less and less and less out into like, Uber Eats and all this other stuff, and more so like eating cleaner. And then like the savings there and which that they were able to save, like literally helped them get a lot closer towards that 70-30 goal, which was, to me, that was amazing.
Yeah, that's huge. Again, a smoothie in the morning instead of getting something else, right? That's
exactly
right. That's huge, right?
Myself 30-day challenge, y'all, for no eating out, period.
I'll join you.
No, I already did it. I ain't doing it again. I already did it. But what I'm saying
is, you did do that. That was pretty baller.
Is that I first of all, I learned that I could do it. Second of all, I cooked more, obviously. But even when we had friends in town, in social settings, I told all my friends, I put them on alert. It's just like, y'all, we going to this restaurant. I was like, but I am not spending any money, period. I'm doing this challenge, so I need y'all to support me in that, because communication is key. Because you
Yes.
will feel pressure to be like, oh, well, you know, we're out. No, if you said it, like, stick to it. And so I ate before I arrived, drank, I don't know how many glasses of water, so much water. But what I was able to do was more so focus on the conversation and really connecting with my friends who, you know, came into town. And I thought that was going to be the hardest thing ever. But it wasn't so bad, especially, you know, communicating like, look, I'm on this challenge. So
that's just huge. I mean, there's so many different ways that we can get there. But again, it really just starts from the beginning. We got to put everything on paper.
Yeah.
Right. And then once you put that on paper, you know, if you're using Mint, you can definitely use Mint as a good place to kind of track your spending. And I think everybody should do that for a good 3 months. Right. If you start in, let's say, hey, look, in February, I'm starting smart. I'm going to look at for the next 3 months, February, March, and April. I'm going to really kind of look at my spending. What are my spending habits? Right. If you don't really know your habits of where you're at right now, you can never change those. Right. So those spending habits that we just automatically do. Hey, look, how many times we find something on Netflix or Amazon, or we just automatically say, hey, look, Apple Pay, right? And we don't really look at it. But that's $6, that's $8.
It adds up.
It adds up. Right. So that's one thing that I kind of help with saving more money is I attach micro payments to every single transaction every time I swipe. Right. So if I'm getting I don't really do Starbucks coffee, but I mean, I guess some people do, right? If I have a Starbucks coffee, if it's $3, I'm going to attach a micro payment to my transaction and make it $4. So that extra dollars goes towards investing. That extra dollars goes paying down debt. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but for some people that are just kind of starting out off in the beginning of their journey, well, if you swipe your credit card or your debit card 100 times, well, that's an additional $100 throughout the month that you didn't think that you had.
Yep.
Right. So it wasn't necessarily a bill now. It's just now you're spending, right? Now, every time you spend, you're saving and investing money.
Yeah.
So that's another way.
And on top of that, like one of the interesting things that a cousin said in the chat was, is like when you cook at home, you know what's in your food.
Come on.
yeah, you do.
Come on.
And if you are going to have, you know, an Uber Eats life, I mean, I have an Uber Eats life. I'm surrounded by restaurants. And oftentimes I really do not feel like cooking, but what I do is have a set amount in my money plan. So X amount is allocated to any outside food. And if I go, I can't go over it. So if I do go over it, that's a problem, you know, but oftentimes I fall just right up under it.
Just like, yo, there's a ceiling. Yo, how close am I? How close am I?
Just on the edge.
Well, okay, so y'all, this was a dope conversation. It's just to get started. It's just to get you started a little bit, just because, you know, of course, we have the just phenomenal Chris in town. So of course he's going to be here. I think you're going to be here for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And so
how long?
We get to shoot some content this week.
So yeah, at least till Friday, Saturday, but then it'll have to be a break. And then I may be back again because there's a lot of things, like I said, that I want to kind of catch up on and really get the synergy from you guys. Because I just got some really special things planned for the community, and it's just going to take us together, like really working it out. You know, we're talking about the money plan. And I think one of the biggest things that most people have a question with is like, okay, Chris, once I believe in the walk away money, I know for these next 36 months, I'm going to have X amount of dollars so I can walk away. But so now that I'm ready to walk away, I have this pool of cash. Well, how do I withdraw off that money to make it income?
Yep.
How can I withdraw off that money? How should I where should I transfer some of those assets, right? How can I get maybe some dividend income, right? So I can make them by covered calls, or maybe I'm transferring some of that money to where I can make it tax-free for withdrawals. So those are some of the strategies that we're going to be talking about to set you guys up, right? We're talking about the begin with the end in mind. So if we know that end is walking away, so now we got to give you the tools in order. Okay, this is the account that I should have. This is the way. This is how much percent I should draw off to replace my income, and this is what I need today.
Yep.
Right. That's the part that we've got to get together and really move forward on.
Okay. Well.
Chris, that was great.
For this week. What'd you say, Joanne?
Said that was great, Chris. I look forward to more.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now it's time. You think it's time, Jolene?
Yeah, I think we have some guests.
I think we do. So what we thought about, since you have successfully completed finals week and we're moving into a new semester, we felt like it would be cool if each and every single one of you, like, literally learn some of the games in which that we play here at the Come Up series. I mean, you know, why not? They'd be dope icebreakers, or even, you know, just imagine like what your children will start to learn even in these games that you play. So tonight's game is going to require more than just the three of us. I think it's going to be everybody. I think that, you know, we need some folks. And so for you at home, you know, feel free if you want to join us in the chats. But I think it's time that we, you know, I hear somebody knocking. Like, who's at the door? Like, for real, who's at the door? Like, can y'all please come inside? Because who is all here? We got a whole squad. What it do? What it do?
What's happening?
All right. So tonight, y'all, we brought in some pretty dope people. Now, of course, each and every single one of you at home are also super duper dope. But we also have been in the Matrix a little bit. And so we wanted to share with y'all a little bit about what we've been learning and just pass it on to each and every single one of you. So when we did the Matrix, we played a few games. Now, of course, everybody hated me after some of these games, but, you know, hey, let me explain. The games were phenomenal because I think that some of you did one of the games. Am I correct, Tevo?
Yeah, you know, we had kicked off the Sector Sundays. We did the bull case versus bear case. It got a little snippy, but it was educational and entertaining in come up fashion. You know how we do it.
Okay. So before we get started, y'all, we got some new people here on the stage with us, and we got some familiar faces. So for those in whom which that don't know who each and every single one of you are, by all means, starting off with you, Mr. Tevo, who are you?
I mean, y'all know who I am. Y'all see me on here a couple of times. I am a do-rag connoisseur. I am a Black man who is proud. You feel me? I am the cousin of the cousin of the cousin. You feel me? And I'm just the come up cousin correspondent, man. I ain't really nobody at heart, but, you know, I'm just a lover of all people. You feel me?
Okay. And you all have met the awesome and phenomenal Q. But Q, go ahead. Tell them who you are, who you is.
I would just say I'm a newly formed bodyguard of the Come Up series.
Well, talk about it.
So, you know, I'm just joking. Q, you know, I work in investment banking, you know, come up cousin, whatever everyone call it. I got my own joint. You already know we got the chin goatee gang. If you don't got here, you can't sit here. You know the vibe. But yeah, we just have a good time, man, and learn about this generational wealth and wealth money.
All right. And then on top of that, we have a few more people that have been here with us, but we got two new people, but we'll get to them and we'll save that for last because we want to reintroduce the people that you already know. So Kiki, who you is, cousin?
Hey y'all, I'm Kiki, Prophet Sniper. Y'all know me off of course, the Come Up series, Twitter and Clubhouse.
Okay. And then Miss Shannon with the lovely background and decor. Her background is like, her background is killing all of ours. Now you're about to now we're about to go full on Martha Stewart living at my house. So, all right. But
what's up, y'all?
Cousin.
I'm Shannon. I am the virtual background connoisseur for the people. But no, swing trader, option trader. You probably saw me in here a couple weeks ago and ready to get this game going.
All right. And then on top of that, I think we have somebody to your right that you may also know, or to our right, that you may also know. She goes by the name of Ashelyn. So cousin Ashelyn, introduce yourself to the world, please.
I mean, real talk at this point, I feel like I'm just honored to be in the same space with Tevo and Q with the way those intros came through. But no, my name is Ashelyn, based out of Charlotte. I'm holding it down for the people working in the nonprofit and public education space. Ready to get into this options game and go head to head.
Oh, okay. And then we got some first generation over here. A brother that goes by the name of Zay. He's a little muted, but now he's unmuted. So let's who is this guy, Zay? Who is this man?
What's going on, cousins? Man, listen, like Ashelyn said, just honored to be on stage with y'all. So if y'all don't know, I'm Zay. Gotta shout out one of the cousins. They said I'm like a come up cousin tutor. So everybody got these monikers. So I'll be the tutor, come see me study hall after hours, you dig? But first generation wealth builder. Happy to be here and looking forward to get into this game tonight. Hey, Q, I'm coming for you, bro.
Okay, come on. Competition already started.
Okay, so the name of this game, y'all, is called If We're a Fifth. So pretty much what's going to happen in this game is that each person, or we're gonna have some designated people. We're gonna have some designated ifers also, so don't worry. But we're gonna have some designated people that are going to pitch, a company investment, and they're going to pitch it and tell us why it's a good investment. Now, in order for this to stand, in order for them to move on to the next level, and we're only going to do level 1 today, so just as a heads up. So in level 1, it's pretty much an elimination round. So pretty much you're going to be presented with at least 5 ifs, and you have to be able to stand on all of those ifs. Now, if your response to that if is a little shaky, like shout out to Jolene, no shaky. So if it's a little shaky, you may be on the chopping block. So each person gets to come up with their company, and then on top of that, they now have to defend it. So then you get to do this right at home. So without further ado, we're going to show you how this game is played, and may the best investor with the best pitch win. All right, so who wants to go first?
Hey,
oh wow!
I'll
we
take
need, like
the lead.
select the squares or something like that.
I'll take the lead. Don't even worry about it. You feel me?
Okay, all right. So, Tevo, go ahead and break it down for us. What is your investment that you would like to bring to the table? Oh,
First
wow!
of all,
Oh,
Are you serious?
okay.
get in my zone.
Okay.
How you
Let me
get all
get in my zone
serious?
real quick, man. Let me get in my zone real quick. Okay, so as everybody would expect, they would expect me to do TSM, but I'm not gonna do TSM. I'm gonna do a little freestyle on AMD, right? So AMD, it's a semiconductor company. They produce desktop processors, graphics cards. They produce the chips for the PS5 and the Xbox. They're one of the leaders in their space next to Nvidia and Intel. They're a rapidly growing company, of course. They are acquiring Xilinx to further their footing in the data center space. So that's going to expand their total addressable market. Very popular in the crypto world because those crypto miners, they got to have a graphics card to be able to process those type of transactions. AMD is one of the heavy leaders in that space. So their GPU is responsible for that. They're headed by Lisa Su, one of the CEOs of the year last year. Lisa Su be putting in work. She done made me a couple dollars, just a couple, And really the why for this company, I would say, because, we got to always address the why, is if we're looking into the future with the gaming industry expanding, AMD has already made partnerships with Microsoft, Sony, Amazon, Google to already plant themselves in the gaming cloud space, which is kind of the future of that industry as it continues to grow. So as your little kids is asking for stuff on Christmas, eventually them cords is going to disappear, and AMD is going to be the power chip for every console, gaming, whatever you got going on your TV. AMD is going to be the one.
Okay. All right. Good pitch. All right. So now, can Tevo's pitch withstand the sea of ifs?
I have a question.
Do it, baby.
Jolene with the first question.
Okay. So, Tevo, what if Nvidia closes the deal for the arms deal, and now they pose a threat in the mobile space against AMD? What happens then?
So that is a possibility. That is one of the reasons that their management for AMD is looking to steadily increase their portfolio. So as Nvidia and Intel even competes with some of their market share, they are furthering themselves in the gaming cloud. They are furthering themselves in the data centers. They are furthering themselves in the PC market. And so they have such a widespread portfolio, bigger than Intel's and bigger than Nvidia's, that it kind of balances itself out as, you know, you can give and push, you know, in either direction. And then also it's going to be able to increase innovation. So competition, when you have two juggernauts like AMD and Nvidia going back and forth, it makes them both produce the best out of each other. So I think that'll keep AMD on their toes and allow them to continue to produce better and better products.
Okay. So speaking of management, I've got one too, but speaking of management, and since you called them out, Intel had a shift. You know, they got a new CEO trying to do some things. What if Intel actually gets their act together and starts coming back to take their spot that AMD has been taking?
You know, that's a real big if that you present there, Ashelyn. That's a real big if. You know, because one thing, I think AMD is the reason that Intel is over there switching shoes. Now, one thing I'll say about Intel is AMD is already producing 7 nanometer chips. They're already about to come out with the 5 nanometer chips. And they locked in already. They got a good mano-a-mano relationship with TSM to push the 3 nanometer chips out next year. Intel is coming around with their hand out late to the party, trying to figure out what's going on. And now they're trying to beg to TSM to have the relationship that AMD already has. You feel me? So that's a big if. And I think AMD has such a lead and such a brand respect with the community, the graphics card community now, because, you know, them guys is loyal to their brands. There's some AMD heads out here, you know, that it would take a long time for AMD and it would take a long time for Intel, I mean, to catch up, basically, you know.
Shannon.
Okay, Tevo. So in your pitch, you were naming off some pretty impressive names that Intel has partnership or AMD has partnerships with. So what if AMD becomes a little too reliant on the Sony, the Microsoft, the Amazon, and one of those guys jumps ship? Do you think that AMD can still maintain its positive growth without those strong partnerships?
Yeah. I think so, because that kind of goes back to the first point with Jolene, is that's the reason why that Xilinx acquisition is so important, because they're now expanding their business model and their portfolio to where, okay, say we do take a minor hit, say, you know, Sony drops out and wants to go with another, you know, chip company. We now have our data center business, which is one of the fastest growing businesses in COVID, you know, to now make up for a loss that they could potentially, what if, take if they were to lose one of those partnerships. You feel me?
Okay. So Tevo, I got a question for you.
What's up?
So we noticed that a lot of the chip companies have been dealing with supply chain constraints. And so I guess it's kind of like multifaceted if the cryptocurrency market significantly slows down as it pertains to mining, as well as if US and China trade tensions escalate, where does that leave AMD?
So that's two ifs that you said?
I mean, supply chain, and, you know, it's all together in supply chain.
Yeah. No, I got you. So that is definitely a concern. One thing I will say is that as far as the China part goes, right? So with the Democrats now in office, we do have a brighter outlook for some of those Chinese, you know, American tensions to cease. So that does play just in favor of the semiconductor industry in general, because say if that does happen, not only would AMD take a hit, but Nvidia, Apple, Huawei, all the EV car companies. So that would be a major blow to an entire industry, let alone AMD. But as I said, with the Democratic Party coming in, that does look to ease. And then as far as crypto goes, you know, I could make this same argument all day if y'all want me to. AMD like I said, is expanding into so many different things that I feel like they are protecting themselves from some of these ifs that y'all bring up to say, okay, hey, say crypto goes away. Okay, that's why we're expanding more and producing faster and faster chips to go into desktop processors to steal some of that market share that we already done took out of Intel's pockets last year and put, you know, even more into our pockets. Or as I said, data center is one of the fastest growing markets in the COVID. We're getting in that. You know, the gaming cloud industry, we're getting in that. And so I do see Lisa Su's plan where it's like she's already processed a lot of these ifs and she's starting to bake that into the business model.
Okay. Tevo, brother.
Good job.
You're off the
And
hot.
let's hit it, man. You know,
Tevo.
gotta do it for the city,
Man,
man.
you killed it, bro. All right.
Hold it down.
Who's next? Oh yeah, you gotta sip that water.
People
Yo,
that are like,
Listen,
I wish we had like one of those like random things that automatically allows it to touch the box. You know what? Who you got, Chris? Who you got? So Shannon, just as a heads up, is a designated if question. So she's not doing any of the pitches. So
Okay. Let's see.
we got Zay, Kiki, Q, and Ashelyn.
Let's go with Zay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You already know where I'm going.
Yeah,
You already know where I'm going.
I already know.
who you got?
I gotta go Bay Nvidia. So
Ooh. We first had AMD and now we got Nvidia.
I have to. That's Bay.
Shady.
I have to.
okay.
All right, so let's hear this pitch, brother.
That's actually really good. That's a good, right?
Let's hear it. That's
All
what I'm
right.
talking about.
That makes sense.
So when I'm pitching Nvidia, I start with the why, which is Nvidia is going to lead us into the future, right? So their main thing that's going to get us into the future is their AI and machine learning and just their chips. But what also makes Nvidia special is their GPUs. So they're known as the inventor of the GPUs. So in order for us to get to smart cities, gig cities, just the future that we see in 2050, we're going to need the chip or the technology that's going to power us to get there. And that's going to be Nvidia. So when I look at Nvidia as a business, of course, you have the PC gaming market, which they're pretty much the dominant force. So AMD and Intel are playing catch up. They also are the leading player when it comes to data center, which to Tevo's point is one of the leading markets or markets that's going to be expanding. They already got their foothold there. I believe it makes up, if I'm looking here correctly, it was 41% of their Q3 numbers. So they have a lot of room for growth with everybody transitioning to the cloud and needing more data center space. Let's not even get into their autonomous technology. We know where that's going. We know all of the partnerships that NVIDIA has between NIO, Mercedes, XPav. There's a few others who are going to be using NVIDIA's technology for their autonomous vehicles. So when you look at where NVIDIA is headed, they're pretty much going to make themselves the Apple of, I would say, the data, like the semiconductors. There you go. They're going to be the Apple of semiconductor space, where they pretty much have enough business lines to have everything on lock. So I'm gonna pause right there because I got a few things to keep in the back pocket until when I get some what if.
Oh, he's coming forth
that's
with a
just enough
strategy. Oh, he's got a strategy. Okay. All right. So, you ready?
Yeah.
Zay is officially on the hot seat. Who is coming first with the first if?
I got a burning question for you, Zay.
Oh.
All right, Zay. So Tevo just gave us a compelling argument on AMD, all the great stuff AMD's doing. We know Intel, again, as Ashelyn said, they're getting their act together. So things are getting a little tight for NVIDIA. So do you really think that NVIDIA is well poised to take on the competition from a growing AMD and Intel who plan to incorporate graphics into their chips?
So absolutely. Number one, when it comes to market space, and market space being ate up. The only space that's getting ate up is Intel's. Nvidia is not losing anything to AMD. It's AMD taking Intel space. So, that's like the little brother that's growing up. You take them to the basketball court, you pick them up later. So I'm not too worried about them coming around. What I will say though is for Nvidia, and then just the chip space, for them, what they really have to just focus on is getting their supply chain right, because right now they're sold out of products. So that's what's allowing AMD and other players to kind of catch up, because they don't have their supply chain fixed right now to where they can even reach the demand that they have. So when I look at as far as AMD playing catch up to Nvidia, I think Nvidia has such a head start that pretty much you got Intel selling off or trying to get out of the space just because they're going to let it be a two-player game between AMD and Nvidia.
Anybody else?
I got to
Uh-oh.
So you actually touched on it when you were answering Shannon's question. What if Nvidia can't produce these chips? How are they going to bounce back from that?
Well, again, so I'm gonna have to piggyback off of what Tevo said, which is the production of these chips is an industry problem. So really what that comes down to is it's not so much Nvidia producing the chips, it's them working with their manufacturers, TSM and possibly Samsung, if they can get their act together. So as long as Biden can come in, ease the tensions, and the COVID related situation can kind of get in control, I think those supply chain issues are just a temporary speed bump in a bigger roadmap right now.
Okay.
I got a little F for you.
Okay.
All right, so you mentioned Apple in your comparisons. One of the big moves Apple made was becoming more vertically integrated by bringing their chip design in-house. And so we know that Apple is an innovator, people tend to follow. What if more companies choose to bring chip design in-house and no longer depend as heavily on outsourcing that piece to companies like Nvidia?
So I'm glad I kept my ace in the back pocket,
Okay.
because this is where I feel like the acquisition of ARM comes into play. Because if they can successfully complete the acquisition of ARM, knowing that ARM does a lot of mobile stuff, that will still give them the advantage of where competitors will have to now come to them in order to get their mobile processing part. So I know a lot of companies are looking to move to design their chips, but I think ultimately they will still need NVIDIA's GPU processing behind them to power those chips or those designs as well.
Hey,
what's up, Q?
I'm in. We go way back like fruit snack. What if the new strands of COVID continue the rough relations between U.S. and China moving forward, and how does that affect the supply chain management of an already, let's say, iffy supply chain industry? What does that look like to you?
Again, so I'm gonna have to lean on that. Of course, it'll be a sector industry problem. However, with TSM building their factory in Arizona and looking to expand on their CapEx projects, I think that will fare well for NVIDIA, being that we'll have a plant that's in state. So if there is some type of beef between China or whatever, hopefully having that plant in the United States will help, I guess, decrease some of that tension there. But it could, that's going to be one that we definitely have to watch. But I got faith in Biden, as well as knowing where the future is going. Again, I think that'll be just a temporary speed bump. If we don't get through that by 2021, within 2022, I think those supply constraints will be, straightened out. Hopefully by then, the tension between China and U.S. will have been worked out. We'll re-enter our agreements, and the future is bright. So, by then, if we want to continue keeping pace with China as a technology superpower, that's going to be something that the Biden administration will have to make sure they fix. So I think that'll be something we can get by.
You lucky that's the final if.
I was like, yo, you were lucky that that's the final 5 because I was like, yo, I said that I can't. I was like, oh. So just as a heads up, what I was gonna ask you is, what if a lot of these electric vehicle manufacturers fail, and Nvidia was on the docket? But
well, I would say that no, I'm gonna still answer that because that's just a third of what they have. You still got the data centers, which is expanding. You still got their chips, and once that gets fixed, you know, the to Tevo's point, crypto not going nowhere. So I'm on the other end. So you know, people will still be doing their mining. As you look at Gen Zs, that's what they like to do. So I mean, even if the autonomy did suffer, I think Nvidia has enough lines of businesses to where you know they could make up for you know that knock on their belt.
Wait,
So
I do have, this is not really related to the game, but I do want to know, Zay, if Nvidia still keeps trading sideways and sleeping, are you still gonna stick with it?
I am. No, listen. Okay, so look, I am. I'm riding it out. I have all the, you know, I am highly convicted in Nvidia and where I see them on. So I've been averaging in.
Talk about it, Zay. You already know.
That's a great question,
man.
That was
But no, I love that question, Jolene, because Nvidia has been, it's definitely been frustrating.
Was not playing.
Zay, sticking to your script.
Shaking and baking.
Sticking to your script.
Why did Jolene come in like fresh napalm on? Right? I'm like, you know.
You are, you know, sticking to the script despite what them charts are looking like. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to. You know what's funny? I see why they got demoted from Stock Bay though.
Yeah, they were side Stock Bay for
a little while, right?
Act right together, and we had to just call it quits. It's still all love. It's still all love. Who we got up next?
Who's next?
Go next.
It was Ashelyn. Okay.
Okay, I'll go.
Oh, Ash.
Since I feel like Tevo and Zay took the easy way out with big tech and chips, and everybody knows about chips, I'm gonna just try to bring a real challenge and take us to the sector that gets no love: industrials. Yes. Let's talk about the built environment that we all have to live in. Okay. So I'm going with Caterpillar. They are the world's leading manufacturer of transportation, mining, agricultural equipment. Like, Caterpillar is there. Looking at what's happening at the home front, we've got record low interest rates, increasing consumer confidence in home buying. That means construction. That means Caterpillar. We talk about the changing of the guards. We've got the stimulus that's coming. We already know what a little piece is, but we know infrastructure is coming. More money to just build. That's where Caterpillar dominates. Geopolitically, the whole world is in this war where America used to be the clear front runner. China's nipping at the heels, and some say they might already be there. 10% of Caterpillar sales already go to China. So as China is continuing to build on the edge of this fourth industrial revolution, Caterpillar is already there. And they're also the leader when it comes to going with the future AI, autonomous equipment and operations. They're making acquisitions in the robotic space. Like, Caterpillar is coming for everybody. So we can talk about the cute little chips and the Teslas, but the Tesla has to drive on the road. So, I mean, y'all gonna need some construction to be hyperlooping around the world, and Caterpillar's gonna be there for you. You're welcome.
Man, you said little chips.
My God. You know, like they say, you know it gets disrespectful when somebody says little.
Right.
All right, so.
Okay.
Yo, Ashelyn came for all the smoke. So, yo, let the ifs begin, y'all. Let's go. Okay. Ashelyn, you are officially on the hot seat.
All right, I got an if for you.
Okay.
So we take a company like Caterpillar Caterpillar has been around for almost 100 years. So I feel like it's kind of like trying to teach your grandma how to use the internet, right? So we know, like, innovation is coming in with these companies. We're talking about all these fancy chips and Internet of Things and, you know, virtual reality. Where do we really see the innovation in Caterpillar? Like, what if they are not able to innovate and compete with some of the other players in the industry, like the John Deeres, et cetera?
Well, you know, I'm gonna just say grandma's love has gotten a lot of people through, and Caterpillar has been there. Like, I think that's a testament to how they've been able to withstand change over time. Through depressions, through recessions. Like Caterpillar is a company that thrives in periods of economic growth and recovery. And they've shown, I think they've proven time and time again that they can advance. So they've been working on autonomous equipment for the past 30 years. Like, it's not a new game. So they see the future and they are going with the future. So I don't think that'll be a problem because they've shown us that they can innovate and that they're willing to make the investment to move with the times.
I got one for you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Being that we are moving towards a more ESG friendly society globally, what are your thoughts, or what if that process moves faster with regards to zero emissions, and that would, say, affect the CapEx bottom line of Caterpillar, since most of their vehicles and things of that nature run on oil and gas? And if that time horizon were to close a lot faster than what you have projected, what if that happens globally?
So I think we can expect Caterpillar to be a laggard in that space, like because they are a dinosaur, been here so long, it's just going to take a while to fully transition into the ESG space, but they're already making the investments. And I think it's actually great for their business that the world is moving that way, because when it comes to your mining for rare earths and metals, the lithium game, like Caterpillar, they provide the equipment. So everybody that's playing in the ESG space they're advancing, but they are still depending on the equipment providers to help them do that. So Caterpillar will continue to be a supplier of the equipment while they also work on becoming more environmentally friendly.
Well, Ashlyn, I got one for you.
Okay.
So let's say the government looks to shore up the dollar, right? Because a weak dollar is good for international business for CAT. So if the government looks to shore up the dollar, how does that, that will impact CAT's international business negatively? So how do they get past that?
So CAT has a global presence, but by and far, like their biggest source of revenue is still the United States. So if the US does get into a game of currency war or manipulation, they've still got the dominant US environment that'll still continue to grow. I also think you get into a place that your emerging economies still require infrastructure. And so they will spend, whether that's more or less, and Caterpillar may have to eat some of that, but they're still eating at home too. So I think they can sustain any type of currency wars that might happen.
I got a question, Ash.
Okay.
So let's say that, for example, we've seen a significant recession, especially when we look at the retail sales globally. So we saw retail sales decline of about 11%. So what if that retail sales, like on the retail side, not on the enterprise side, but retail, what if we see that go further in decline? What's the best strategy for Caterpillar?
So Caterpillar got hit hard by COVID. As a company, like their revenues took a hit, but their clients also took a hit, and they have learned that they can't operate the way they were before. And so that has caused some people or some clients to invest more heavily in remote operations, autonomous manufacturing, not relying so heavily on people. So I think now that we have had the experience of COVID, people are a little more battle tested for what the road ahead might be. And they are making those capital investments to make sure they're never caught flat-footed the way they were during this first period. So it works in Caterpillar's favor that everybody's trying to change the way they operate.
Okay.
Do you work for them?
Nah, but I got to come tight to the crew.
Do you have an if question, Tevo?
I mean, it was a lot of smoke being thrown on stage, so I'm gonna let that blow past because it's all love. But
Okay.
What if we have a resurgence of this corona pandemic and the demand for the business that Caterpillar operates in plummets and they have to suspend all operations? How does a company like that survive through like some of these risks of new strains coming about?
Well, I'm gonna go back to Chris and Jolynn about having a healthy money plan, because that's where CAT's fundamentals come in. Like their fundamentals, they're able they're able to carry through. Like they survived this, and I think they're reading the news like everybody else and seeing the research. They know we're not out of this, but that's not a concern because their finances have been healthy. You know, when you've been around for 100 or so years, you don't say a thing or two, so you know how to handle that money.
Yeah, you slippery. Real slippery.
Excellent.
Congratulations, Ashelyn. You are officially off of the hot seat. Good job. All right,
Thank
up
you.
next, Kiki. You ready?
I'm ready. So
Let's
y'all talking
get it.
about all these companies that we already know about. So I'm gonna pull one out of the pocket. I'm gonna go with Home Depot. A lot of people don't talk about Home Depot, and me personally, I love Home Depot. During coronavirus, Home Depot dropped to the whopping $140, but since then, it has literally recovered massively to a high of $292. But my most important thing when it comes to Home Depot is why. Why am I going with Home Depot? I'm going with Home Depot because they put their customers first. When it comes to small businesses, they top the scale compared to Lowe's. On top of it being customer base, they also have the open market for the millennials, the Gen Z, literally everybody when it comes to DIY. Y'all know how y'all get on TikTok, and y'all see all these people making those things? Guess where they go? Home Depot. They sure do. I go to Home Depot. I love it. I love Home Depot. But besides them just being great overall, I think that, a lot of people put Home Depot on the back burner because a lot of people are talking about Lowe's or Lumber Liquidators, Mark. But Home Depot is out here doing the Lord's work. So besides that, they have financial flexibility. They also have a pro customers subscription that is growing repeatedly. During COVID, they actually rolled out a whole new section as far as their retail strategy goes, and it actually made them get more users, more Gen Z, more millennials to actually subscribe and use Home Depot more than Lowe's. Overall, I'm gonna say that Home Depot is a go for me. And like Zay said, I'm not even gonna touch on the other things because I'm gonna leave it in the back because I know y'all got some questions. So go ahead, fire them up.
That's smart, Kiki. You got to keep your voices in the hole. I learned that from Q.
Shannon, you are up first.
All right. So I think unlike some of the other companies we've heard about tonight, Home Depot actually benefited from the pandemic in ways that the other companies didn't, right? So people were at home more, they were doing DIY, they were realizing the longer they were in the house, there's things that needed to be repaired, et cetera, et cetera. So what happens though, when the world opens back up, we all go back outside, we go back to work, we go back to the movies and restaurants and concerts and all this other stuff, and we're not at home anymore, and we're not doing those projects anymore. What happens to Home Depot then?
Home Depot is still going to be a staple because what you're forgetting is that a lot of these millennials and Gen Zs turned into millionaires during COVID. They got on TikTok, they got on YouTube, they turned the information that they needed or they already knew, and they literally capitalized off of it. So some people did home repairs, but not everybody did home repairs. And Home Depot isn't just known for DIY projects. Like I said, they're the staple when it comes to small businesses. So they still have way more revenue coming in, even if the DIY goes down even by 10%.
So I got one. What if, because right now coronavirus has caused a little bit of constraint on home building supplies. So what if that constraint continues and home builders are not able, so small businesses are not able to, build the homes for the millennials, and the exodus of millennials and Gen Zs to suburbs slows down? What happens to Home Depot's revenue or profits then?
Home Depot revenue and profits is still going to go up. Why, you say? I got an answer. It's still going to go up because you're not thinking about the backlog of home builders that's still waiting to get in and start back on this revenue. Yeah, people were out during COVID, but people still have houses and projects that are under contract that still need to be built. So because they have that backlog, it's backlog for up to over 2 years currently. So if we do go back to work, guess what? Home Depot still running up.
Okay, I got it. If go ahead, Q.
I'll ladies first. I'll let you.
I'll take that. So you talked about how Home Depot was thriving because they figured out, customer service, subscription, and all that. What if Lowe's has been studying the game and decides that it doesn't want to be number 2 anymore and starts figuring out their customer service and start rolling out their own models to rival Home Depot?
You know how there's way more McDonald's in the world than there is Chick-fil-A? And everybody remembers ba-da-ba-ba-ba, you know that. However, it doesn't matter how much you remember the McDonald's slogan. When you go to Chick-fil-A, it's like, bro, that dude was standing outside in the rain taking my order. Yo, they be on it. Yo, it's 2 degrees outside and he out there with a blizzard jacket on, but he still took my order. That's Home Depot. It don't matter what Lowe's do, they will never get into the area that Home Depot has already created. Home Depot is the Chick-fil-A of the building.
Hilarious.
Go ahead, Q.
I got one. Now we spoke about obviously the pandemic and everything. What if the Fed raises rates faster than anticipated and has an adverse effect on banking interest rates, and banks were to tighten up capital, which would then basically make mortgages less desirable, refinances less desirable, landscaping, construction, carpentry all dry up? How would Home Depot face those headwinds? Like, what if that happens?
I'm going to take it back like Ashelyn said. Home Depot has a money plan in place. Their cash on hand is well beyond the normal. Their cash on hand is just absolutely amazing. So if those interest rates do decide to go up and people can't do DIY projects, they still have their pro customers. They still have contracts that still need to be backlogged, like I already stated. And they're prepared. They already have their ducks in order because COVID literally prepared them to step up their game as far as if they do decide to raise these interest rates, if they do decide, to raise them quicker than what everybody does anticipate, they're already prepared for that. They've already laid out their guidance, what they expect to happen, just in case that second round of COVID comes through. Be ready, man. I ain't even worried about that.
Okay. All right, Kiki.
Good job, Kiki.
Oh, wait, were you looking for me?
No.
Oh, I was like,
Not paid to work.
Good job, Kiki. Good job. Very good job. So you are officially off the hot seat. All right, Q.
Okay.
You're up, brother.
I think everybody knows who I'm about to pick.
You about to switch it?
And that's why I'm hitting with the Allen Iverson crossover. I'm going Chipotle.
Oh!
Your thoughts. Your thought. I go with Chipotle. One, let's talk about something nobody ever talks about: top line management. I love the CEO and the C-suite team for what they've done, how they've been able to navigate prior to COVID, coming in from Taco Bell and making the company more digital, more transformative. Now, if we're looking at Chipotle, we're looking at a company that has 2,700 locations, which means there's a vast opportunity to build out their platform globally, not just in the US. With that opportunity comes the opportunity to do it in a fashion of, let's say, the words ESG, which appeal to the new investor and the future investor. When we start to look at the business of fast food or food revenue, you start to speak of ghost kitchens. A company that is transformative is already a part of those ghost kitchens. They are creating what you call Chipotlanes, drive-through Chipotles, which will help their profit margin because they will be smaller than regular Chipotles, but still drive the same amount of revenue. When you think of DoorDash, Uber Eats, and you think of all the services, it makes it that much easier for those people to come through and cop the food to keep it moving. So when you look at an expansive business that has the best digital app in their space, along with global expansion, along with top line management, along with the ability to transform in the pandemic and therefore after the pandemic. If they made a ton of money in the pandemic, they're going to make a ton of money outside of the pandemic. They are positioned and well positioned in the consumer discretionary space to be a juggernaut and a mammoth for the next 10 to 20 years because all the other competitors have not adjusted as of yet. You name a company with a better app, with a better top line management, and a better money plan moving forward, as Joel and Chris Bush would say. I'll leave the aces in the hole. So come with it.
Yo, y'all are hilarious.
Leave the aces in the hole.
Okay. Who's up?
All right. Q, I'll take this. I'll take it. Oh, you want to say?
No, you got it, Shannon. Ladies first.
Okay. So what if these new strands of COVID come out, we're unable to keep them under control like we thought? And so therefore the economy takes a hit, consumer discretionary spending goes down, and therefore affects Chipotle's revenue because it's so tightly tied to consumer discretionary spending.
On the contrary, when you discuss consumer discretionary spending, you look at fast food, right? And where Chipotle is well positioned is one thing. They're not McDonald's, but they're not Applebee's. And they have their own lane. And so if we do get a new strain of COVID, then we go right back to what? DoorDash, Uber Eats, non-contact delivery, a space where Chipotle already dominates, right? So for a family that has money problems, where can you get a better meal, right? McDonald's isn't healthy. It's not cutting it. Applebee's is a little too expensive for the consumer that may have money problems. Where's Chipotle fit in? Right in that gap where consumers need that. So I actually think that becomes an opportunity for them to widen their gap moving forward because all of their other competitors don't have the runway to be successful as they do if that were to happen.
Okay.
All right, Q. So what if Chipotle had another E. coli situation?
That was me.
Now, wait. What happens?
Go ahead.
What happens?
So the one thing that I wanted to keep in my back pocket, the big joke, the big joker, is that the money that they've made in the pandemic has went to supply chain management. Not only are they sourcing and doing a better job of what they source, who they source, how they source, they're sourcing closer to the restaurants. They're more informative about what they're sourcing, how they're sourcing. The last scare they had, which enlisted to bring them a new CEO who was taking them to their promised land, they have gotten more granular in their process. So I love the fact that they source organic, right, and right around the areas, right? So that cuts down costs because you don't have to travel as far, and you're more aware of what you're putting in there. So the chances of having another E. coli breakout are very slim to none because they're very aware of that gap in what happened in years past.
So,
And if
go ahead.
So what if America realizes that this burrito bubble that Chipotle has created, and they actually understand that this stock is overvalued? I mean, is it going to come plummeting down? Because I mean, it was at $289, and I don't think anybody paid attention, but it's like 14 plus.
sniping.
Well, I think that in life, right, we do things for options, right? We all want options. And I think the optionality to do a stock splits there doesn't scare me. From a menu standpoint, they do a good job at doing what they do well. And they've started to roll out different vegan options. They roll out vegetarian options. They roll out different menu options seasonally and location-wise, right? There's certain things you can get in certain locations. So I think the options that they have from a top-level management perspective allows them to navigate much better. If the stock's too expensive, split it. We've seen Tesla and Apple do it, right? And if the menu's too boring, add something new, but stay in what you're good at. And I think that, Chipotle's, right? They stay in their lane. They do what they're good at. And I think that when you look at that as a whole, they're a company, again, that's transformative moving forward because they understand what they do and they stay in their Chipotle lane.
That was corny. That was corny, but I'm gonna let you have that one.
Nah, let me have that.
I'm mad. Kiki said burrito bubble.
Bubble.
Ashelyn, did you have a question?
I did. So I had Chipotle this weekend, and you mentioned how they love being local. My brown bag had local all over it. What we also know is that we're in this period of climate change, and what's happening to farming and crops, like their cycles are changing. So what if climate change continues to worsen and Chipotle has to extend its supply chain beyond its local model that it's invested so much in?
Well, the beauty of that is when they first began business, they had to do that. And so they understand how to move through those waters, right? And because they've been successful for so long, they have wide profit margins. And so it would just take rebalancing their price metrics to understand, okay, where are we getting these things from if that would happen? But it also goes back to my point of ESG. It gives them a global opportunity to enhance their ESG presence to a investor base that is on their front lobe. So I see them being able to navigate through those waters because those are familiar waters, but also being able to be transformative with technology. So who's to say they're not able to build greenhouses and things of that nature that are closer, right? Or to navigate that. So I think we look at management and we say, okay, management's very intelligent. They've done everything correct as far as investing in the business. So I trust them. And I think a lot of times we don't talk about management. People invest in stocks and have no clue who the CEO is, right? And I think that's the point. We trust management moving forward, that they'll navigate waters that they're familiar to.
Hey, so I'm going to come in with the question, Q. What if that Chipotle, because they've been struggling to keep their cost issues down. So essentially they've been spending an awful lot of money, which has been significantly cutting into a lot of their profits. So what if, and mind you, that also goes with a lot of the loyalty that they had to rebuild as well as the trust with the consumers. So what if, COVID-19 extends, and at the same token, in order to still remain in that spot that they're doing, what if, say, for example, that their cost issues increase and it hurts profitability? Should I be an investor of the stock still?
I'll venture to this. Loyalty equals royalty. And I think that I'm not worried about the costs. I'm worried about the data. Now, they have a loyalty program, which allows them to source data, which allows them to use that data as a brick of gold to make more things, right? If you buy a brick of gold, that's $1,200, you can make $10,000 worth of goods from that brick of gold. And I think I focus more on the transformative data that they have from their loyalty program, which is best in class. And in the future, they'll make up those profits because they'll be able to move smarter. You have to spend money to make money. You have to invest in yourself, right? When you invest in college, you don't make that bread back right away. You invested $100,000 in education. You get that bread back down the line. But you sure are happy you have that degree or whatever education that you have. The education here for Chipotle is the data they have in their top loyalty program that no other competitor in their space has. So I'll lend to the fact that we'll spend the extra money now to make extra money later because we own our data.
Okay.
So I have a question real quick. And this is like a legit question. It's not necessarily if, but when you order like using a third party, that same loyalty that you're speaking of, does it get captured when you use Uber Eats or you use DoorDash or anything like that? Because if we have another pandemic or a situation where we're on lockdown and you can't use your loyalty, or there's no way to capture that you're using your loyalty through those third-party apps, then what?
I mean, they have to capture because they have to get the order, right? It has to come through the system.
They get the order, is there
that would come through their system because they have their POS system they're still going to make money on. So they have that data, right? They understand, okay, what are people buying in what areas? So they have that data, though it may cost them, right, a little more sharing the data with a third-party service as far as both of them having the data. They have the data. That's how they're able to change their prices. If you look on the app, sometimes things are a little bit more expensive, right, than they normally are on Uber Eats or DoorDash. So the data is there, it's just shared. But at the end of the day, those are services that work for Chipotle. Chipotle works for the people. So it's a lot different in terms of supply chain of what each company does. DoorDash works for all the other restaurants. Chipotle or whoever else on that app works for the people. So they have to figure out how to maintain profitability in there. So you're going to see price fluctuation based on what they know is selling. If something's selling a little more, you can charge a little more for it because people will pay a little more for it. Comes back down to the business line.
Right. So no, I understand that part. But my question is, when you use the third-party apps, like if you have this loyalty program and it's like every fifth burrito or whatever, you get X amount back. You know, if you can't use that in a third-party app, then how does Chipotle, how would you be able to use the loyalty reward, so to speak?
I'm almost positive you can use those things in a third-party app. I'm not in that app, but you can use them on the app. And if that's the case, I'm not too familiar with it. But if that's the case, it still goes back to the data. And so for me, it goes back to knowing what your customers want. Like I don't want to give away a free burrito, right? And so I don't think that somebody saying, "Hey, I can't use my app," is going to stop them from swiping their card. At the end of the day, we live in America. It's about convenience, right? And so we're talking about convenience and timing. Regardless if you're using the Chipotle loyalty app or whether you're using a third-party service, you're still sourcing convenience and timing, right? And that's what matters. Their efficiency, their menu, their management, and then their future plans are what I'm building on. And I'm building on the fact that they're going to build Chipotlanes. That means that they're going to be able to get food out faster at a cheaper overhead cost because they don't have an actual big standalone store. So that's less employees, less money, but less money they have to spend, but the same amount of money that they would make in a regular Chipotle. So I think it's kind of semantics when you start to break down or get that granular in that space, because at the end of the day, they're offering you convenience and they're offering you time that you don't have to spend going to get it or possibly getting the coronavirus.
Okay, and final question. What's for dinner?
For me?
Yeah, are you having Chipotle tonight?
You already know the vibes, man. Chipotle. Listen, we're gonna get the chicken bowl with the white rice, the beans. We're gonna do the spicy red sauce, and we're gonna do the green sauce. I don't rock with the other joint and some tortilla chips, and we good to go.
You get the same order every time, don't you, Q?
I'm consistent with it. Yeah, I'm a consistent. I'm consistent. I'm there. So I mean, I don't just talk about it. I'm about it.
Okay. Well then, y'all. So this would have concluded the first round. So as you can see, like it got a little spicy. It even got a little shady from some people.
That it did.
Yeah.
Boy, all the shade.
That's how they jump me.
But yeah, all in all, in good fun. And that's the beauty of it. Because at the same token, I'm probably sure that while they were up here on stage, they were learning from each other at the same time. Notice how some folks, their strategy also changed. And when you play this around your friends or at home with family, whomever, even in Zoom calls, if you are social distancing, which we hope you are, this becomes an even cooler game. So now we challenge each and every single one of you to take this home and ultimately extend this game to your friends and family. And just as a question, you can put it in the comments, not in the chat, but in the comments. Who do you think won? All right. So, y'all.
My eyes. You did a great job.
You are all winners in my eyes. You guys all get the participation trophy.
But I'm gonna have to hit you with a James Harden, man. I mean James Harrison. We don't do participation trophies, bro.
Neither do I. I'm just winners. Saying that we would have to go multiple rounds, and there would have to be a voting process. And so ultimately, within the voting process, you would have one moderator that's ultimately doing the voting and saying, okay, hey, which strategy was the strongest, or which pitch was the strongest, and then make your decision from there. It's not only just the pitch, but it's also the defense of the pitch. So were they flustered? Did they fall apart? Was the argument weak? And if it was, then at that point in time, now you have to make a decision of who makes it to the next round. And in the end, there can only be one. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for each and every single one of y'all joining us. And Chris, thank you also, brother. I mean, we're going to be shooting some content this week, so that's going to be fun. Jolene, what do you think about the game?
Like I said, I thought you all did a great job. And also, it's a good way for the cousins to engage on a peer level with those study groups that I know you all formed. And also, I wanted to know, do you all, this is for the cousins, I want to know which of the companies that were pitched, who has those companies in their portfolio? So if you could add that to either the live chat or the comments, that'd be great. I'm just curious to know which of those companies you all have. Either you have it as a singular play or you have exposure to it through one of the ETFs.
I think we're going to have to come up with more games for us all to play. What do you guys think? Did you guys enjoy the game?
Dope.
Yeah.
There's a little more left in the tank.
I'm going to have to go back to my my workspace and concoct some more games for y'all.
Here you go.
Well, each and every single one of you, thank you for joining us. Also, where can they find each and every single one of you if you guys are open to sharing your social media?
I mean, y'all know where I'm at. Tevo Shabazz, Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse. Y'all see me pretty much every day. Y'all probably been in my inbox asking if I was a mentor. I'm not a mentor, but if you got a question, go ahead and ask it.
Well, there it is. Zay?
On Instagram, First Gen Wealth Building, Twitter, First Gen Wealth, Clubhouse, Zay. And then YouTube, First Generation Wealth Building. You can find me on YouTube. For everybody that's been asking, I'll be back February, guys. I'm still dealing with the newborn and getting content ideas together. So,
and congratulations to you and your wife.
I appreciate it.
Wonderful, wonderful addition to your family. Shannon, where can they find you?
I'm on IG as Mrs. Shannon B. And anybody out there that's in the Peloton community, you can find me there as Mrs. Shannon B as well.
Come on.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm actually on
Let's ride.
All right, Ashelyn.
Yeah, so I actually created an Instagram account for the come up. So y'all brought me back to social media. So I'm on Instagram at Ashelyn James. But if you want a real quick response, LinkedIn. You can find me there, Ashelyn James. Let's get professional.
Real professional.
I like that. Miss Kiki.
I'm on Instagram, Stop Queenie Guys. I'm also on Twitter as the Stop Queenie Clubhouse, Kiki. I'm also on YouTube, Stocks to Freedom. There we go.
Well, all right. And Q.
IG, MisterWallSt.
Hey.
Just keep it simple. You spell the Mr. out, not MR. Mr. Wall Street.
Okay. And well, Chris, where can they find you?
Yeah, Christopher W. Bush on IG.
Well, that was simple. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Honestly, I mean, this was amazing. This was phenomenal. I'm probably sure that the comment section, when you go back and watch it in the chat replay, you're going to see exactly how lit it was because it was running up. Anyways, so thank you for joining us. And I'm probably sure that we'll have you guys back on so that way we can play another game. But for each and every single one of you, thank you. We hope that you enjoyed in just watching the game and learning from each and every single one of the people. Lynn, did you have any final words for this evening for the people?
Yo, I'm trying to get my little Uber Eats order in for Chipotle.
Wait, this is really happening. Oh, okay. Well, say less. All right. So with that being said, y'all, thank you. We'll see you guys in the next one on Thursday. This has been Trade Talk Tuesday with a slight little twist. Until next time, I'm Mark Monroe.
I'm Christopher Bush.
Go ahead, Tevo. You guys can do all your.
Hey, your favorite cousin's favorite cousin, Tevo.
Boy Zay.
This is your educator, Ashelyn.
If y'all don't go ahead and say y'all names.
I already said it. Profit Sniper.
Oh.
All right. Well, it's the big cousin Q. That's what it is.
Hey.
Okay.
Big cuz.
Okay. Did everyone say it?
I think everybody said it.
Okay, so I just need to say my little piece. No, I'm just kidding. Still in GC in the place to be.
And I'm Mark Monroe. Until next time, peace.
Hi, Chris.